समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
For 20 days after she was executed in the penalty area of Kabul's soccer stadium, as little boys roamed through the packed terraces selling tea and biscuits, Zarmina's body lay outside the morgue, waiting for a loved one to claim it. No one came. 3 years earlier, in 1996, Zarmina had poisoned her violent husband, Alauddin Khwazak, with sleeping pills. Later that night, according to an investigator, her older daughter Najiba crushed her father's head with a single blow from a 5-kilo mason's hammer. Local authorities eventually buried Zarmina at the Khairkhana cemetery, the last page of her story closed with a small blank tombstone. 2 months before the execution, Najiba was sold to a marriage broker in Khost. Later, the same broker bought the younger daughter, Shaista. We do not know what happened to their stories, nor to those of Zarmina's sons. Last week, the International Criminal Court at The Hague issued arrest warrants against the Emir of the Islamic Emirate, Hibatullah Akhundzada, and his Chief Justice, Abdul Hakim Haqqani, for crimes against humanity, I quote, on gender grounds against girls, women, and other persons non-conforming with the Taliban's policy on gender, gender identity, or expression. The warrants are unprecedented. They mean little in practice, as experts Rachel Reed and Roxana Shapur have pointed out. Hibatullah, like Chief Justice Haqqani, never leaves Kandahar, rendering him pretty much immune to arrest. The countries that matter, among them the United States, China, Russia, Israel, India, and Pakistan, are not parties to the Rome Statute, the treaty that established the International Criminal Court. And Zarmina, of course, was killed before the court came into being in 2003, so can never receive justice. And yet, the ICC warrants matter. In 1997, as Zarmina was being tortured in a Kabul prison, United States diplomat Robin Raphael was lobbying for an oil pipeline from Turkmenistan through Afghanistan into Pakistan, declassified documents show. There were no diplomatic conversations about the reports, then widespread, of women being pulled out of schools, denied jobs, blocked from medical care, and flogged in public. This time around, the proceedings at the ICC reveal Afghan women asking the most important question of our time. Are there some things so awful that they lie outside what it means to be human? Are there some actions that cannot be excused no matter what the interests of nation states might be? The singer Inga Bosen recorded this landai or couplet as women worked or gathered in private. I quote, "Isn't there a single daring man in this village? My flame-colored pants are burning my thighs." In an almost playful way, scholar Rubina Sehgal has pointed out, patriarchy was turned on its head, with women openly expressing passion, while men were cast as implicitly afraid to rise to the challenge. This made women more powerful, more able to transgress. This wasn't the public culture of Afghanistan though, even if it was part of its folk traditions. A woman is best at home or in the grave, records one old saying. But as Sehgal reminds us, women always found spaces to rebel and voice their opinions. Last year, though, Emir Hibatullah silenced the last sounds of dissent. Women must also not be heard singing or reading aloud even from inside their houses. Whenever an adult woman leaves her home out of necessity, she is obliged to conceal her face, her body, and her voice. Since then, walls have ordered to be raised so women cannot see out of their windows onto the streets, Ghazal Goshiri has reported. The ICC prosecutors note that for girls, Secular education over grade 6 was banned and access to university education very severely restricted. Large numbers of women were removed from the workforce and male relatives encouraged to take their place instead. Businesses owned and operated by women have been shut down. Women cannot travel without a male guardian or mehram. Female students are now being steered towards madrasas, but their curriculum is very limited, journalist Sharif Amiri reports. All girls are allowed to learn is Arabic grammar, rhetoric, jurisprudence, and the prescribed conditions of prayer. Girls are also taught about the social roles expected of them, which include obedience to their husband and raising children who will be good jihadists. 8 out of 10 girls today are excluded from school in Afghanistan, Mahjooba Naurozi reports, and girls above the age of 12 by law may not receive any education at all. This has very little to do with religion and everything to do with an extraordinary effort to control women. Late in 2022, Chief Justice Hakim published Al-Amara Al-Islamiyya wa Nizamuha, or the Islamic Emirate and its government, a kind of constitution for Taliban-led Afghanistan. According to his son Abdul Ghani Al-Maiwandi, the Chief Justice authored this document even as he led the negotiating team with the United States in Doha, discussing power sharing with the Afghan Republic and the United States. The leader of the emirate, Hakim writes in his constitution, is to be chosen by an elite council and is bound merely to consult them. The role of the public is to acclaim their decisions and obey. For Chief Justice Haqqani, the Islamic Emirate was a kind of vehicle for perpetual jihad. The soldiers of the emirate, he writes, cannot, I quote, forsake jihad solely with the exit of the Americans and their allies from Afghanistan. That is not the aim of the Afghan jihad. The aim of this jihad is the establishment of the order of Almighty Allah over his servants. Educated at the Darul Ulum Al-Haqqaniya Seminary in Akoda Khatak in northwest Pakistan from 1976 to 1980, Haqqani was deeply influenced by the toxic patriarchal values the leaders of the seminary perpetuated. To ensure a quiescent population, the Islamic Emirate has now embarked on the annihilation of modern education. The Ministry of Education says it has set up 22,972 madrasas, while only 269 modern schools have been built. The curriculum has been excised of all references to democracy and human rights, anatomical diagrams and biology, as well as mentions of music, television, and celebrations. Afghan cultural traditions ranging from the Atan dance and Nowruz to indigenous musical instruments and women's traditional dresses have been completely erased from textbooks. The objective is to transform Afghan youth into the kind of people who made up the Taliban's early ranks, educated in refugee camp seminaries located across the border in Pakistan. For the Chief Justice, indeed, secular education itself is a problem even for men, as religious studies scholar John Butt has explained. Experience has shown that immersion in modern secular sciences is lethal, Haqqani writes, both for people's beliefs and their actions. Teachers and students of these sciences, he says, tend to abandon the Quran and Sunnah, depend on intellectual reason instead, and abandon the requirements of Islam. Indeed, he claims that the wave of atheism that swamped the government of Afghanistan could be put down to the dominance of contemporary sciences over religious sciences. The Taliban, notorious before August 2021 for their terrorist attacks on teachers and students at Afghan universities, as well as their destruction of schools in rural areas, have no meaningful commitment whatsoever to modern pluralist forms of critical education, writes historian William Maley. Like the Komsomol of the communists or the Hitler Youth of the Nazis before them, they seek a production line of youth trained to kill and to take delight in it. Since the Rome Statute came into force in 2003, most major nation states have found reason to remain outside it. The United States will not have its soldiers prosecuted in a foreign court for war crimes or anything else. China similarly does not want external jurisdiction over its human rights practices. India has concerns that the ICC will interfere in our domestic conflicts. Russia today faces ICC warrants against President Vladimir Putin for the war in Ukraine, just like Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu does for the campaign in Gaza. They both believe that these are means or tools to exercise international pressure over sovereign states. These arguments aren't completely without merit. As lawyer K.P. Prakash argues, many believe prosecutions should actually be sanctioned by the United Nations Security Council. Others argue that there are serious questions about national sovereignty and institutional autonomy that the Rome Statute doesn't address. And yet, while these debates rage, the stonings, shootings, and public executions of Afghan women have resumed. Diplomats from China, Russia, Iran, Pakistan, India continue to deliberate over how best to do business with the Second Islamic Emirate. Without exception, though, all nation states are willing to sacrifice the rights of women for that purpose. There has been no greater crime by an organized state since apartheid. An entire half of Afghanistan's population lives under what is effectively a condition of penal incarceration, subjected to vile and arbitrary punishment simply for being women. Zarmeena never got the grave she deserved, nor the justice she was owed. The world community now has a second chance to do the right thing in Afghanistan. I'm Praveen Swami and I'm a contributing editor to ThePrint. Thank you for watching this episode of Security Code.